Tropical storm Laura, the headline at this hour. Hurricane watches have been posted for the Louisiana coastline, Morgan City on westward, including the inland parishes of Lafayette. We are going to get more information on the watches coming up in a little bit. So here we have Tropical storm Laura and increasing confidence that this is going to come off the western Cuban coastline later on tonight, emerge in the Gulf of Mexico, and then intensify. Meanwhile, Marco is right about here, but all the convection has been heading over toward Florida, so no major issues. This low-level swirl will be pushing across the area, but we're not going to have much weather with this, although there will be some scattered showers and storms during the day tomorrow. A workable day, but a day that you need to be preparing for a hurricane that could arrive on our doorstep going into Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening, especially Wednesday night. So here's the forecast track. The latest one coming in from the National Hurricane Center has this as a Category 2 storm. All the model data we're seeing this afternoon indicating this still has major hurricane potential, and this storm could go through a rapid intensification cycle somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico as we head into Tuesday afternoon and evening through the overnight hours, and then striking the Louisiana coastline. And here we see the watches already posted. It looks like for much of the I-10 corridor, hurricane watches, all of Acadiana, and then tropical storm watches as you get into the northern parishes of Acadiana. In fact, I might be able to even zoom in on this product. I don't know if I can, but we'll give it a shot here since we're on the air live. But of course, we're going to have a full update coming your way on Acadiana's news channel coming up at 5 o'clock. But there you see the outlined areas in red right now. These are all hurricane watches for Acadiana, tropical storm watches from St. Landry, Evangeline, Allen Parish on northward. So this is certainly going to be a storm to reckon with, and this type of storm making landfall right here is going to produce a huge storm surge, hurricane force winds anywhere near the center and east and in the cone. So that means all of Acadiana might see hurricane conditions. That means winds, sustained winds, 60 to 75, gusts up to 100 maybe in some of those stronger rain bands, especially near the core of the storm. And again, this graphic just populating between when I loaded it up, and there's your hurricane watch from the Boulevard Peninsula all the way to coastal Morgan City and all the parishes of Acadiana, with the exception of St. Landry, Evangeline, up through Avoyelles and Allen parishes. But hurricane conditions will be possible, especially where the center of the storm makes landfall as it works its way inland. So these tropical storm watches may change to hurricane watches and hurricane warnings eventually as the storm gets closer. A hurricane watch means hurricane conditions are expected within 48 hours, and we're getting close to that 48-hour window with hurricane conditions possibly bumping up along the coast as early as Wednesday afternoon, but most likely we think it's going to be a Wednesday night thing. Here's one of the new models. I'm just going to show you this model, and then we're going to get off the air and get ready for the newscast coming up at 5 o'clock. But as we look ahead through tomorrow, we'll see clouds, a mixture of sun and clouds, but some tropical showers and thunderstorms rolling through here. These could produce gusty winds. They can't be underestimated. So we're going to have a few storms out there through tomorrow evening. Notice we have rainfall here, wind direction, wind speed, and wind gusts. So watch how that changes as we start to see a hurricane approaching our area as we go into Wednesday. Here's Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Tropical rain bands begin to move in as we go through midday Wednesday, and then going into Wednesday evening, we start to see stronger tropical rain bands moving in. Our winds 20, gusts 36 as we head into Wednesday afternoon, and then we get into Wednesday evening. The winds and the gusts begin to pick up, and there is our potential hurricane. And notice this is pretty much in lockstep with the National Hurricane Center forecast. That's why we're using this model. This is a very new model. It's made by IBM, and we've been evaluating over the last several months, and today it's locked in, and it gives us a very good feel for what we're going to expect with this hurricane going into Wednesday night. Again, the core of your hurricane, Lafayette to Lake Charles, maybe back to the Texas border. And of course, the forecast can change, and this storm could go 75 miles farther to the east or 75 miles back to the west, and we can be off one level on intensity. So right now we have a Category 2 planned for a Category 3, especially across southwest Louisiana, and then this storm will slowly progress northward as we head into the overnight hours Wednesday night going into Thursday. And it looks like the computer is a little locked up here. Here we go. We're progressing through midnight. Notice the gusts here with the tropical squalls approaching 70 miles an hour. We see gusts approaching 80 choppy as we get into the wee morning hours of Thursday morning as those strong tropical rain bands. So this means widespread power outages, trees going down across much of southwest Louisiana from Acadiana on westward. Notice those intense tropical rain bands working their way into St. Mary and Iberia Parish. So all of Acadiana under the gun with this particular storm, and then it eventually moves off to the north and east. So rainfall wise, we are talking about a heavy rain event, obviously with a hurricane. Anything in yellow here shows up 8 inches or better. So we're going to forecast 6 to 12 inches of rain. And a quick look at this, also this wind model, this graph wind model. Notice the model going for some gusty winds with some of the storms tomorrow, but the big winds banking up along the coast as we get into Wednesday afternoon. That's when we start to see winds. These are gusts, not sustained, but notice the model. This is just a model. Remember, model projection, not an official forecast, but some very intense winds as high as 80 miles an hour from Lafayette on westward with gusts maybe in the 100-mile-per-hour range overnight. Again, one model. This model may be too hot, but these are the numbers we need to prepare for just in case. But bottom line, I do expect widespread power outages with this storm and everything you get with a major hurricane or a potential major hurricane. Here's the potential Laura impacts. I'm still working on this graphic, but instead of tornadoes, I'm working on the power outages, but all impacts are going to be high impact events, whether it's wind, whether it's flooding rains, whether it's your winds, especially the storm surge rather along the coast. I'm thinking 8 to 14 feet storm surge. Watches have been posted. I got to take a look to see what the Hurricane Center is forecasting, but all the hazards that you get with a big hurricane, we're going to see more than likely for portions of Acadiana, maybe not all of Acadiana. If we see forecast track changes, and we know they're going to change in a 48 to 72 hour period, but the models have been pretty much locking on to what we just showed you with respect to that forecast track, and I'll back it up right here just so we can show you that forecast track once again with Laura. Again, 60-mile-per-hour storm expected to become a hurricane overnight tomorrow night, and we think it's going to be a 2 or a 3 at landfall across southwest Louisiana. So bottom line, Acadiana, no time to mess around. Get your hurricane supplies today. Folks along the coastal parishes, you're going to have to think about evacuations along and south of highways 14 and 90. Already mandatory evacuations for Cameron. We'll probably see additional evacuations for the other coastal parishes of Vermilion, Iberia, and St. Mary parishes, especially if you live in a flood-prone zone for rainfall and storm surge. If you had surge with hurricanes Ike or Rita, you will likely have a very similar surge with this storm and this forecast track if it verifies, so keep that in mind. Tough information to broadcast, but we have to do that. We're going to have a full forecast update coming your way, coming up on Acadiana's news channel at 5, 6 o'clock, and also another live update coming up at 7 o'clock that we'll take to Facebook, that will take your questions and answers as well, so look for that as well. Till that, and a little bit later on, this is Chief Meteorologist Rob Perilla reporting live from the KETC Weather Lab.